Bradford.
Jane Plummer.
Megan Heil.
Dan Hughes.
Patrick Vaness.
Aaron Swanback.
Forrest Richard.
All in attendance. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, visible with liberty and Forrest is going to do our invocation this morning.
Mighty God, we are so thankful that we are thankful for Fort Myers. As you help guide and direct that we might
Thank you. All right, starting off here, we got the approval of the minutes. Any changes, edits, additions? Ben?
Done pretty well. But read it. But read these minutes. And
Okay.
I don't think they're picking him up.
Okay.
And is there light
Dan,
green?
when you speak, is it turning
now I
green
can.
there?
no,
Right over. There you go.
Yes, now I'm on, okay. And all those brilliant things I just said have gone down? Not
All those brilliant things.
What?
We heard you.
Oh, okay.
And a person who transcribes might not have heard it.
There was a compliment in there,
There
though.
was.
Yeah, in general, yeah, but I just think that, that a read-through by someone on an editing basis, so that if a layman, a member of the public is reading this, it makes sense to him. Whereas it might, I have even trouble, trying to interpret, for example, what a particular sentence means. And I think laymen should be able to, general public should be able to read this and be meaningful to them. Other than that, I don't have any problem with the minutes.
Jason, does somebody read these before and proof them before we get them?
I believe administration does, or the clerk's office does.
Okay. The only thing I found was a lot of space issues, like the space bar wasn't working
Oh, okay.
between some words in here, but other than that, there was nothing really true or shattering. Scott, do you have any changes you'd like to see? Edit
I do not.
first?
Ma'am.
The
Yeah.
only one that,
Could I just, and there was just one other thing, if I could ask the attorney, but on page 4, in that paragraph at the top of the page, we said town attorney Aaron remarked that the comp plan required 2 opposing views. threshold matter, and if the LPA agreed with staff, it was the end of the discussion. Here's an example of something that, to me, that if somebody's reading it, it totally
Know what that meant by
wouldn't know
end of
what the hell it's
discussion.
up. But I wonder if you could try to explain that to me, though, too. Refresh my recollection on that.
My recollection is that I approval or not. Were
Can you hand me yours?
Just hit the microphone button. That's all I did on his, was hit that little microphone button and it turned.
Plugged in is good.
There we go. My recollection is what I stated was that you had two opposing interpretations or two opposing views of what the comprehensive plan said with respect to the issue of the overlay and how the density was calculated. And once you all made your decision, if you agreed with the applicant, that was the end of the discussion.
But there's no such thing as a state law requiring two opposing views, right?
No.
So that's, see, that's an example there of that. Yeah,
That should be corrected.
yeah.
State law required rezoning request to have two opposing.
Yeah,
views.
that's a misconstruction of what
What I
attorney
said,
was saying.
what it should say is that state law requires the rezoning to be consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Yes?
It's the very next paragraph in the second line where imminently should be eminently. Other than that, I'm,
Are you good with his explanation?
yeah, and
That we'd
I,
like to see the minutes that change.
with that change, I would move to approve the minutes.
I got one more little change, and this is a matter of a little bit of a detail. And that's on page 2, under the amended motion. LPA Hughes amended his motion, and LPA member amended her second. I'd like to say amended the motion to include LPA's remove the $500 condition.
Yes.
True, absolutely.
A little bit more on the detailed side. I agree with you, the minutes are really much, much better than they used to be.
Yeah,
They're getting better every meeting. I'd just like to see a little bit more detail there. To reflect the change that LPA member Hughes amended his motion to remove the $500 condition, and LPA member Plummer amended.
yeah, yeah. Good.
Yes.
And that's all I have.
I include that
He
in
already
my
motioned.
motion.
I will
Okay.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting minutes have been approved with our changes. Next on the agenda. It's a public hearing. The consumption on premise of bar cocktail lounge and 4 COP at 1250 Estero Boulevard. Opening the public hearing on that.
Jason Green, Community Development, working with the applicant to, I guess, fine tune the application and requests and discussions, about the land development code. They've asked for, agreed to a continuance so they can add to that application, clarify some things, and there's an additional second application that needs to be added to the whole packet. So they're asking for a continuance. We were gonna ask for a specific date, doing the math of how many days that leaves them, ties for that other part anyway. So what I'll do is just ask for the continuance without the date specific. And then we'll, obviously, anybody that's within 500 feet will get another mailer within whatever that ends up being. Just want to make sure they get afforded enough time to get their application fixed and changed.
Do I hear a motion to request a continuance on this?
Moved.
Okay.
Favor say aye.
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 Continuances have been granted. Moving along. Text amendments. We're opening the public hearing on the text amendments to the LDC Section 34-3273 residential uses and setbacks on non-conforming lots.
Jason Green, Community Development. We've mentioned before, going through glitches and text amendments as we make bigger wholesale changes in the LDC. Sometimes we'll come across things that may have been repeated in another section, and we need to clean some of that up. So really, this is kind of a cleanup of repeat of language that was changed as part of the height and setback. It was in another section. So finding that other section, that repeat language, we decided to bring it back to you to clean. So it's second time eliminating the 10% essentially, and smaller setback that was changed as part of the setback. I believe it was January council finalized that back in height. The tables were updated, the language in the other sections were updated, and you're correct. This is just internal conflict that it was the same language put somewhere else.
For clarification, this is to pull the language out of here because we have created the new side setbacks and height requirements that were just passed by town council a month or so ago.
January, and it took effect in February. And so, yeah, so those changes are in effect, and there's just internal, again, this code is riddled with some of this where it says the same thing 2 or 3 times throughout it, or sometimes in a different way. This is just a section that we realized had to be cleaned up and changed. Reflect those changes that were already done.
They went into effect in February, but don't we have a moratorium for some period of time?
No.
If
We're in place.
they're in place, so we didn't have like a 3-month.
It was a 30-day wait after it was adopted, and then we started implementing it. I've conversations with administration about if council wants to do that, but have not been given any direction to do that. Somebody was in for permitting, but then they're under the regulations that were in place when they applied.
Previously. Okay.
I don't see this as a reduction in anything that was, is it?
Oh, it's basically that 10% rule for non-conforming lots is what was eliminated in part of the discussion when we did the height and setback changes. This is just a repeat of some of that language in another section. So the problem with it was that there was internal conflict. While we changed it in one section, this section still had it. We wanted to make sure that there wasn't somebody using this section to say, no, I don't have to get a 5-foot side setback for a house.
Direct conflict of the
It's in
other
direct
ordinance
conflict
that
of the changes we made and the stated intent when we went through that whole process.
Do you have anything for us?
Can't explain why there's a whole nother section, but
I do not.
First, Aaron?
I have no question.
Any more?
No, I don't have anything except, is this all pretty well settled now? The setback thing is pretty well finalized where we are on it?
Yes, town council passed that ordinance back in January,
All right.
just to decide setbacks and heights.
we've had some meetings about it, and there's a couple that were in design during this process, and once we went over it with them, it seemed to be okay. It fit, wasn't much of a change. I don't think it doesn't seem to have had a negative effect on many people.
I still, I still was hopeful that there would be some support for my position that there should not be a structure built in front of the existing property as physically existing property lines, even though they fall within 25-foot setback. But I've been met with a groundswell of apathy on that, on my attempts to get anywhere with that, so that one structure doesn't stick out in front of all the other houses in a block. And they're all set back more than what the 25-foot setback is required.
I think we'll in the next couple of months, I think we'll have something that may address at least partially that for you.
Was that
I
Jason?
think we're going to have something in the next couple of months that'll at least address that partly for you.
Good.
There's some things that we added a garage section, and so that was really a placeholder to set some of that up. You'll see some of that, I think, a little bit. Maybe not everything you're looking for, but something.
Just to clarify, because I wasn't here, I guess, when those decisions were made, so I'd gone back and I compared this to table 34-3, and I was seeing some discrepancies, but I guess the intention is we don't want to provide the 5-foot setback.
Correct. That was a stated direction from the council, is to make sure, and just unfortunately, it's a different section.
The other question is, do we want to do away with administrative back variances? Because we're crossing that out also. And if we cross that out, then that pretty much eliminates the opportunity for someone to ask it administratively.
The administrative variance section still exists.
It doesn't, if you go to that section,
Right.
it doesn't refer back to non-conforming lots.
You know, my intent on there was just, why is it called out specifically for this? Almost like it's empowering those, they're kind of an automatic thing, and I don't think that's what the intent was. Those are applicable, we don't do them right now I think we've done one in 3 years, or 2.5 years. I don't think the intent was to eliminate it. Still, that section exists and someone could apply for that.
If you go, go to that section 34-268, I believe. Okay. Go to that section, then you read what it says. It says you can ask for administrative deviation to the following sections. And if we included this section on there, 3273, we'd be fine. Right now, it doesn't make reference to it, so it could be argued that you can't, if you've got a non-conforming lot, you can't ask for the admin deviation.
And that would be an edit to the administrative variance section.
Yeah.
Okay.
To reference 3273.
I mean, we're in agreement that the empowering of it doesn't belong in the section, it belongs in the administrative variance.
Yeah, if it's in the other section, that's fine. It just means they can ask it just like any other case.
If I may, Jason, at one point, administrative variations were eliminated, but, you know, administratively for a while, right?
They have been used less. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't done by ordinance, it was just done by the manager. And then, now they're back apparently, right?
No, they have not been, there's been one that's been approved in the last 2.5 years, I think. Historic structure that was affected by the.
You speak up a little
It
louder.
was the Estero
Jason.
widening impacted a structure, so we did a administrative variance to allow for that. That's the only one we've done. There really hasn't been any that are, I would guess, worthy of applying the administrative variance rules to. We haven't gotten a lot of requests for them either, so. We've seen the variances. I mean,
We went from never seeing them, every one of them.
No.
you have, yeah, so a lot of the variances that you see are things that were in previous administrations being run through administratively. So instead of doing those administratively, we've brought them before you.
The previous planner was here, we never saw a side setback or a setback variance. For what? Years. And when Jason and we've seen almost every one of them.
Again, just as a reminder, that section of the code is not very well defined on the power. It's in our opinion, too much authority or power for staff. So that's one of the things that will be worked on as part of the code amendments is defining what qualifies. We've had that conversation in the joint meetings. That'll be brought into the land development code at some point. Again, most of them have, you know, the thought of staff is look hearing, have a chance for neighbors to comment. Then there's a record. that goes with the property that's probably a little bit more clear than if it's just a piece of paper that's run through the side of the building.
Any objections? Good?
You want to add, I don't know, John, can we add another section, because it's not a reading of the ordinance, but Patrick's comment about, let's just add the 34, 32, 73 to the,
We'll take that as a recommendation, and incorporate that into the ordinance that gets forwarded to the town council.
right, if that's what you guys choose.
If you all agree with that modification or addition.
Would you be sending them the 34-26, did you say? That's where he's saying amend it, he's saying,
So,
We'd incorporate it into this, correct, into the ordinance.
yeah, 34-268 should make reference to section 34-3273.
that's changing another, the code, does that need its own?
No.
They've already signed that, haven't they? They've already signed the ordinance.
Yes, so we would amend that as well. Subject matters are related.
Okay. Your motion?
Look here.
Closing a session and open public comment. And hear from the public. Nope. Closing public comments. How do I hear a motion? Amendments are tricky.
They're exciting, they're very exciting.
Forget.
They bring all the passion out in people.
Plus, I don't have my folder in front of me to
That's serious.
go right down. Yes, I'm not prepared.
Come on, you.
I think with less traffic, there'd be more people here today. I think with less traffic, there'd be more people here today.
Nice. All right. Do I hear a motion on it?
I'll make a motion.
Pat should make.
Okay, make a motion to approve staff's recommended language with one edit where section 34-268 would reference back to section 34-3273.
That,
68 and 7 to 76, right?
3273.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
Very good.
second by Jane Plummer. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. 7-0. Closing the public hearings and opening the administrative agenda. Start with, we don't really have an administrative agenda per se today. We'll go on to LPA.
Do you want to? Okay, go ahead.
I was going to address
Whatever you want, that's fine.
in our LPA member moment. And I'll start with LPA member items. I had a conversation with Jason this week that we do not have enough people for the Historic Preservation Advisory Committee. In order to stop holding things up, I have asked him to start sending any requests for historic designation, recognition, anything to us at this time until we can get this one out. We can get a advisory committee set. So we are the advisory board, and we're going to be the advisory committee all in one for right now. We can get this filled and get enough members. I believe he has contacted previous members. We have put out advertisements. I have been on Beach Talk Radio talking about this, trying to drum up some support for this, and we're not getting enough members at this time. So
I will say there's been a response of positive, a positive response, but the people haven't filled out the paperwork yet. So we'll try again, but fill it out for them.
I believe that there is a application in right now for recognition.
Yeah, yes, received last week.
Received.
Yep.
So that'll be coming directly to us instead of going through the advisory committee right now.
There's not a backlog. We haven't had a lot of applications. This just happened to come up last week, and that's generated the conversation. So process that and get it before you as soon as.
The only thing I have on mind to just make sure that we address that the Historic Advisory Committee and Preservation Board is in discussions. It has not so we can
Fine.
get members.
And how many do you need?
Well, Forrest is going to chair it. We need, what, 5?
Yeah, there's 2 more spots that we're gonna open. I'll double check to see. I don't think it's a quorum. But it was at least 1 more to make the quorum.
Can we, as a group, look at the enabling ordinance? Maybe we shrink the membership down? I mean, we're struggling to get, what, 7 members, 8 members, whatever, it's a large number. Can we look at the enabling ordinance and maybe shrink that down to 5?
That makes a
Where
lot of
it's
sense.
easier to get people on it and easier to get a quorum?
Can, if you wish for us to make that recommendation to the town council,
Would be smart, I
they can
think.
do that.
Would that be better to start here and have us make the look at the enabling ordinance and make the recommendations?
Yes.
Bring that to us next month?
Yes.
Good idea.
I think that's the big piece. It is such a big board, and getting enough members to make a quorum is at this time.
I wonder if we reached out to those who have significant properties on the island who have already got them registered, if they would be interested in serving. I mean, that would be an interested party, I would think. That would be, I don't know if we have those lists of contacts and,
There is a list, I mean, listing of all the registered properties that come through and done recognition or designation. Is that something town would do? Send out a letter to them, or
Could, yes.
I think that would be a great source of people because they should be interested in what comes of it and how it affects their property since they are registered. I think that might create a group of people that be, very valuable.
I still have the Facebook link. I can make a post.
I liked it, and I'm also looking at enabling ordinance down for, we always expand it at a later date, but right now we can't get enough people to even. That'll be on our agenda next month too. That's all I have. Scott, do you have anything?
We had a great season, and I think everyone on the island did. So wow, hats off to everyone on the island, the town, the Lee County. I mean, everyone pitched in. It's been just fantastic. Thank our governor. It's been just a wild ride. We actually had a better year than 2019,
That's wonderful.
and they're still coming. So, incredible.
Yes, sometime back, I had suggested that we get a report as to the status of matters that have been before us and are now pending, still pending on the town council or staff level. And I'd kind of like an update on a few things. For example, just briefly, if the attorney could tell us where we are with the Meyer that's gone now. There's been 2 hearings. I understand it's gone to a 3rd. I personally think that we, having been so involved with the crossover, we ought to maybe be brought up to date on any litigation that's pending on that and where it is.
Which one?
The boardwalk crossover.
There's only one litigation matter that's pending with regard to, that the town is involved in, involving a lawsuit filed by one of the property owners for an alleged violation of the American with Disabilities Act.
Oh, I assume that's in the federal court then, right?
Federal court, and the Florida League of Cities, Florida Municipal Insurance Trust Fund, which is the town's insurer has assigned outside counsel. It's covered by our insurance policy. And so they are leading the defense of the town in that litigation
Oh,
and have initially successfully argued for a motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim. And so the plaintiff has refiled the lawsuit, and I would not be surprised if the League of Cities files another motion to dismiss for failure to state a cause of action, and we'll see what happens.
thank you.
It's for the crossover for where?
The dune walk over to the south end of the,
Texas Hold'em.
Okay, okay.
The suit's never been filed on the Bert Harris then, right?
yes, sir.
Is there still a negotiation situation here?
Yes, sir. All's in their court.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate that.
Nothing for me?
Just curious if we know or if the town's future plans are
I've had that request too.
brought up a lot recently. Anything, resume, oh, I apologize, where we might resume some normal operating where public could come in and requests made and talk to people here? Any discussion about that?
Not to me, no. We seem to talk, we talk to a lot of people every day so far, so it hasn't slowed that part down, I can promise you.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, though.
There's a perception out there, and the time sometimes, I mean, I've had that conversation probably with 5 or 6 different people in the last 30 days, so I just assume it, if I'm running into people that are asking, and there's probably more people that are wondering about that, so.
And I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you, I just
Yeah, no
haven't been part of
worries.
that
I was just
conversation.
curious.
I have nothing this time, thank you.
Nothing.
Jason?
Training on, I don't know what it's called, the digital voting and review of packets is, I have a video that I've been given by the clerk's office. I'll send out to each of you. Please watch it. I have not watched it, so I don't know if it's helpful. Hopefully it is. But it'll give you an introduction to the digital format that we're going to for voting and for your packets. Supposedly, it's convenient. It's got some items on it, some tools in it that allow you to make notes and stuff to yourself, help you remember if you're going to make motions or questions and things. There's a lot of tools that I think come with it. I have not used it. We're all going to learn together. The goal is in May to hopefully implement that, how that goes. And that's going to move forward with the council at some point.
We go to implement this, will we have both a packet for the first couple meetings and our electronic piece, or are you just going to rip the Band-Aid off?
It's not my Band-Aid to rip off, but I will advise and recommend that that's what you've asked for, is to do both.
I'd ask for at least the first month of this, as we are going, just to keep the moving forward and orderly. And we will use the electronic portion, we will do our best to use that, but it'd be nice to have a packet as well, so then that way we can keep these, you know,
Does everybody
it's
have,
technology.
does everybody have laptops or whatever that they can bring in? Or is that
I
going to be
don't know how
provided?
this being, I think you're provided with some stuff. I don't know exactly all of it, but that's why we're trying to do it for this month or last month, and there's a lot of things to figure out. So yes, I think at some point you'll have screens or some type of computer laptops to be able to. Sounds very convenient, so we'll see once we learn how to
Nice
do
that
it.
if you're issuing those, that it has our comprehensive plan on it and
Wouldn't that be
the mini
nice?
code on it. If
Each
we're asking.
packet,
Sure. I'll make note of that, yes.
You had something else?
I was
Oh,
just
sorry.
checking, are we going to receive the things from the voters? I can't think of words. We need to sign off for before July, I think it is, where,
We're supposed to get those directly from the Lee County Supervisor of Elections.
we go to their site?
Yes.
Mail them to us.
They mail it to
They're
us.
supposed to, they're
mailed
supposed to,
them
keep
got it
lists,
already?
but, if not, I certainly would, encourage each of you to reach out to the, town clerk to ask for any assistance you may need to get that form and make sure it gets filed before the deadline. But, theoretically, I think it's the supervisor elect.
Always gotten it in the mail.
Is supposed to keep a database of, all the LPA members and send them, send each of you a copy of the form. But you can also, I'm relatively 99% sure that you can access the form online, and I know because they where you live, that I can file electronically. It can be, but you need to make sure.
I think I get mine in May. Rings a bell.
I get mine mailed, and I sign it, scan it, and file it electronically.
No, just, we'll be right there with you on the training, so. Side by side, learning with you.
All right.
It convinced me it's beneficial, so we'll see.
And next on our agenda, items for next month's agenda, we talked about the Historic Preservation Board stuff. Just what you have and enable an ordinance so we can make recommendations. Anything else? Potentially that,
Yeah, we may see the special exception and a variance come together again. We also have another variance that's be able to make it, so there's probably 3 or 4 items.
I'm going to open it up for public comment. Nope. All right, then I'm closing public comment.
Just the footsteps, everyone running up to the.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
All in favor,
9:30.
say aye.
Aye.
We're out of here at 9:39.
Mark it
Meeting
down,
adjourned.
new record.
New record.
Good record. 39 minutes. Actually, it started a minute late. 6:38.
Right, better than 7.5 hours. Oh. Variance.